Welcome to the R.E.A.L Podcast, where hosts Shane Kilby and Duane Murphy dive deep into the world of real estate agent life. From overcoming hurdles to celebrating success, join us as we explore the journeys of industry veterans and rookies alike. Get ready for bi-weekly episodes packed with advice, feedback, and mentorship from the best in the business.
We are recording for the R.E.A.L Podcast, Real Estate Agent Life Podcast. Today, we have the one and only Lathamator, Jeff Latham from Marysville, Washington. So how are you, brother?
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you guys and add as much value as we can. I'm sure this is going to be a upgrading conversation.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. So we've known each other for quite some time, and we have a lot of things in common. And so I follow your journey. You've had a tremendous journey, great success. You're a great, great inspirational individual. You're a great father. You're a great leader, thought leader. But you didn't always just start there, right? So take the audience. Take us back in the day of Little Latham. Like, where did Little Latham start on the map?
I guess if I run back, a ways, maybe when I was 9, I got my first bicycle, and that was a Huffy. And I remember trying to jump that thing as high as I can and fly it. And I always wanted to fly. And so that kind of led to that. And then I just had a normal upbringing in the 80s, back when, the world was normal. And my parents wouldn't worry about me. I rode my bike all over town and just I had absolute freedom. And then if we fast forward, when I was about 13 or 14, I started hanging out with the wrong crowd. And I was the best of the worst kids. And from 13 to probably 17, I was kind of a shithead. I sold weed. I was really good at it. Made money doing that. Bought a bunch of dirt bikes and stuff. And then never really got into too much trouble. A little bit. I was just always uncontrollable. Like, sovereignty was just a big thing to me. I marched to the beat of my own drum. And you'll probably see this as we go. And then I had the right mentor come and speak into my life. I worked at Albertsons, and I remember stocking the freezer aisle and putting ice cream away, and I feel this hand come on my back. I just feel like this weird rush go down my body. So then I turn around, I can just see this ivory cross right here. And his name was Brian, and he was very intentional with speaking into my life and helping me redirect to get a new group of friends and then go to college and really change my life. And I had him in my phone as Godsend, because God sent him to me. Right. And it just straightened me out. From there, I went to college, and I was there at a community college for about a year and a half. And this class called Study Skills. I remember the teacher said, I don't teach I teach because I love it. If I wanted to make money, I go sell real estate. And that was kind of that light bulb moment where I decided to drop out of school and sell real estate. And my mom was a real estate agent. She did her best to discourage me, or discourage is the wrong word, but she supported me, but was nervous because she knows how brutal it could be. And so this was 22. I started selling real estate, and here we are, 20 some odd years later, sold a couple thousand homes, invest now, do a lot of that shit. In between there, I met my wife. I met my wife in 2000 in Mexico. I met her down there, lost her. She was on our senior trip, and she lived in a town called Mount Lake Terrace that was 40 miles south from me. I knew 3 things about her. 1, I thought her name was Lori. 2, she was from a town called Mount Lake Terrace. And 3, she graduated in 2000. And she ruined my trip because I met her. We're supposed to meet out the next day outside the bar in Club El Cid there at the bridge in Mazatlan. She no-showed me. And I was looking for her the rest of the trip, and I never found her. And we connected that night, And so I remember flying out of the airplane, looking over the wingtip of the airplane and the sun setting over Mazatlan, praying to God I'd find this girl again. And knowing she's down there as I'm flying out. And so 3 weeks later, I'm home, and I woke up early on a Saturday morning with this feeling in my gut that I'm going to find her. And I just headed south. This is before social media, this is before cell phones, all that shit, right? And I headed south, and I had a plan, and I thought, okay, maybe I'll go to an espresso stand. I don't know if you guys have those over there, but we do here. Maybe there's a girl that knows a girl named Lori from Mount Lake Terrace that graduated in 2000. That plan didn't work, and I thought there'd be a lake because the town's called Mount Lake Terrace, no lake. And so I went to the Puget Sound. I'm just throwing rocks into the Puget Sound waterfront in Edmonds, and about to give up. I go to the mall, and I buy a shirt at Pacific Sun wearing a CD at Sam Goody back when you used to buy CDs. I have the Armageddon soundtrack in my hand. I look up, she walks right in.
No way.
Yeah, and there's 4 million people in Washington State. And so I just played it cool. And I said, Lori? She said, no, my name's Rory. I said, we're supposed to meet that day. What happened? And she's like, I drove by, I didn't see you, and played it off. And it's well, give me your number. Maybe we should hang out sometime. And we've been together ever since. And with that, we're just tied into a higher frequency through the ether, through metaphysics or quantum physics. It's that instinct. It's like birds. You when you guys are hunting birds, you see them all just kind of, they flock. They know, school to fish, right? We're just plugged in, and we lose that strength. And I think because of language and because of distractions. And it's kind of like when you're thinking about someone and the phone rings and you're like, you caught my signal. And so tying into that, learning that is a lot of fun, and strengthening that muscle has really become my obsession in how to manipulate reality with my mind. Because everything we've created in life is a consequence of yesterday's thoughts and our thoughts. And so if we could think about what we want, we could remember our future and pull that forward. Okay, so I got off a tangent. Fast forward, I dated my wife for like 8 years, 9 years. I can't believe she stuck around that long. And God said, Brian, he's like, why do you marry that girl? I said, I don't need to get married. That's bullshit. Give her half my stuff, just a selfish little prick, still young. Anyway, he said to me, he says, you're selfish. You're being selfish. I'm like, oh, you're right. So I married her. We had kids. We got 3 awesome kids. And from there, life's just getting better and better and better. And I got into personal development in 2012. Coach Tony Robbins, spent probably $500,000 on personal development, coaching, growth. And here we are. And we're just on this constant evolution of getting better and better and better. And, done a lot of hard shit. I like to really push myself. Ironmans, ultra marathons, you name it.
So have you ever read the book Living Supernatural, or what's the name of it? Becoming Supernatural. Yes. Yeah. That's that one. Look, I've read it. I've listened to it, man. That book is so in depth. It's so deep. I'm like, man, I gotta take a break. Like this is like way powerful shit right here. Like I've got to process all of this. So, but it is absolutely phenomenal. When you started, talking, I was like, yeah, he's got to be connected with that book. He has to be connected with that book. It's funny because I remember back in the day when we would hop on some calls and stuff like that. And then, I would just watch your video that you had created back in the day before everybody was dialing in their video game on your agent attraction video. Damn, I'm fixing to click this. I'm fixing to click this funnel and hop in this funnel. I think I'm gonna sign up with this dude. It was that smoking great. So, apparently you always had that salesmanship, that entrepreneurial vision, all the way back to the weed game. I mean, you look at the greatest entrepreneurs on the planet, and they've had a lemonade stand. They've sold candy. They've done candy bars. They've
stolen radios. I mean, come on.
Everything. Right. And those people always get bored with the status quo. They were never designed for the status quo. They get tired of the formalized agenda with education, and not go down that rabbit hole. But it's like, you cannot put that fire out. You're never going to take that individual and conform them into structured learning unless it's something they're passionate about. Agree or disagree?
100%. I couldn't even imagine what it'd be like to punch a time clock. It just sounds like prison to me.
I still have that Rad Rover. That Rad Rover bike?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you got to get one of these. I'm like, okay, I got this Rad Rover. And I've hunted on that thing. It's amazing. It's amazing machine. It's totally off topic. So I'm like, this is the guy that made me spend $2,000. I'm like, hey, you ought to get one of these. They're badass. You showed that video. I'm like, yep, I'm done. I'm done. Sign me up.
Just so you know, Shane, he now talks about planes. So, if you're looking to up your game on what to buy next.
Look, man, I've toyed around with that idea so much. I don't even need to go down that rabbit hole. I actually do need to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, right? You do. Flying an airplane is the funnest thing you can do with your pants on. There's nothing better than flying. It's amazing. It's so free up there, and it's a time machine.
I see your video footage and your photos, and I'm like, that is epic. So you got the multi-passenger Cessna now, correct?
Yeah, I got a Cessna 180. It's like a pickup truck. It'll land, it stalls at about 40, so it'll land slow. It flies fast, flies about 160, and it'll carry a lot of shit. It's the state bird of Alaska. If you can pack it in and close the doors, it'll fly. And I landed out here at my compound out in the middle of nowhere. It's a little sketchy, and it works though.
So you mentioned the compound. I've watched that evolution for the land. Not with toxic envy, but with just like that dude is living it to the fullest. That is maxing out. That's badass. So walk us through that. How did we end up in that? Because it is, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen this, you need to follow Jeff. If you don't follow Jeff already, you need to go take a look at what he's built. Like it's every man's fantasy. I'm telling you, like it's a playground. Walk us through that.
Well, in 2020, the world went mad, and I watched all these people get in line with an agenda that wasn't empowering them. And it drove me crazy watching people just listen to powers that should not be controlled. And so I went down the rabbit holes, like looking at where the world could potentially go and what's happening and how we've collapsed. CIA's collapsed 68 nations around the world since it's been around. And if you look at Venezuela, it's a prime example. I mean, that was the sixth richest country in the world, and then it just got eradicated. And so I read this book called Patriots, and it just it woke me up, because the most important thing as a father and a husband is our job is to protect and provide. We have a wife and we have kids that depend on us, and we live on a planet that's a war planet. And for us to be ignorant of that is a big mistake. And so being prepared is very necessary. And so when the world went mad and all these people were muzzling their faces and their children, we decided we're not going to do that. And we yanked our kids out of school, sold everything, bought 160 acres out in the middle of nowhere with my two best friends, broke it up into 7 lots, and set it up to where we won't ever need to depend on anything as far as food, water, shelter, and biblical, ye who is prepared shall not fear. And so we become, sovereignty is a big value in my life, and freedom. And so when you have your house in order, you become unfuckable.
I love. It's truly another level.
Mm-hmm.
Not one that I have experienced or have arrived at. But just again, like Shane said, living vicariously through some of your doings and watching what you have going on and how you live in life and doing it on your terms is a level of freedom that the majority will never ever experience.
Yeah, there's just a peace when you're in the eye of a hurricane and everything's blown to shit around you, and your house is in order. And it's timely, because look at what's going on right now. Florida's just getting smoked. Look at what happened in North Carolina. You're seeing a lot of people that were reliant on the system, and some that weren't, that are in a situation that's unfortunate. And I just think I know as fathers, it's our job to be prepared for anything. That's why we got to be tougher, stronger, faster, better, more nimble, and ultimately in control of our own destiny.
Yeah. That you nailed it. And Godspeed everybody in North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia. The coastal lines have already been affected, and that the storm's coming through as we speak. But yeah, that's front and center. Like you just nailed that to the wall. You see a lot of folks, depended upon someone to come help them. And if it weren't for the blood, sweat, tears of the good people around them coming together, the neighbors, like, that's all they can hope for. Like, you got guys like Elon Musk trying to deliver 6,000 Starlink systems so people can get the message out. And now that, Homeland Security is, tell you can't land unless you have someone you're intentionally going to land to visit the sea to deliver this. And he's like, I mean, they're off the grid. Hell, how the hell do I know who I'm going to communicate with? Like, I'm trying to deliver that so they can't get the message out, right? So it is absolutely. And that's the thing. It's like, we take care of our neighbors. That's one of the things that now I've always loved the thought of out west, and I go there every year now. I will go there as long as God allows me to go there. And that's just one of the things that has attracted me back there. Bozeman's beautiful, but I'm talking about the good old boys off the grid. Like, and nothing against Texas Cowboys, because y'all tough too, but I don't know if I've ever met an individual tougher than an out west, especially like in the mountains, Montana Cowboy. That's real shit right there. Like, that's real lean on your neighbor stuff. And seeing those people, like the first time I was out there talking with those guys, it's like I would find myself getting in a bad mind space about Fauci and this, and this is not, a political rant, but just hearing that name just made me cringe. And there I was trying to have a small talk with the hands there about the whole mask and the whole Fauci and the whole COVID drama. And they looked at me like I had 3 heads. I mean, literally, they were like, "Who's Fauci?" I'm like, "What do you mean, who's Fauci?" And then it dawned on me. I'm like, "Wait a minute. Their house is in order. Like they don't, it's summer, winter, and harder winter there. And winter's cold, and the real winter's like nothing else matters but having that house in order. And that's what they're constantly doing all 4 seasons, is keeping that house in order. So now I'm passionate to go back there, because that's like, I'm like, that's, man. And I tell my spouse all the time, I tell my wife, I'm like, man, if I'd ended up out here at 25 years old, that way of life, like the way my mind operates, like I would have never left. I'd have never left. So it's interesting you say that. Now, one thing I do want to elaborate for all the listeners or viewers, when he says they built a place off grid that is completely independent of everything and everyone else, don't think that this is like lean-to huts out there, because this is an absolute like Jeff's kind of not, he's not like, it is an absolute Disney World for a good old boy, like beautiful barn medium style. Like, it's just like, I mean, he's not going down in that level of how awesome that spread is. And I've watched you from the tractors to your son just playing in the dirt, and I'm like, my God, that is just an epic playground out there. So,
yeah, we got, we're not roughing it by all means. I got my 50-foot swimming pool and my gun range over there at 300 yards. And
we're getting into it.
We built some nice places out here. It's all right.
And look at that view. Oh my.
Yeah, it's special.
It literally is like, almost like talking to you right now, or interviewing you from like the doorstep of heaven. I mean, it's just that view is second to none.
So you guys you're doing some developing. You're developing some similar setups and stuff out there now, right?
Yeah, where we're at, we've attracted people that think the way we do and share our values, and trained them up. It's, it's that Jordan Peterson just nails it. He says, harmless man is not a good man. A good man is a very dangerous man who has that under voluntary control. And it's just so important. And that's why I've been on this, like, I push myself for these 100-mile ultra marathons, or climb the mountains, or run the Ironmans, or now I'm just getting really fit, or training jiu-jitsu, and just, I just believe, I know as men, it's our job to be being dangerous, right? And not go and harm people, yet not be a victim. Because if there were no victims, there'd be no bullies. And I just think people need to toughen up. As far as, business, yeah, we're still, doing things. My business is on the west side, 3.5 hours away in a vehicle and 50 minutes in an airplane, and that thing does its thing over there. And I go over there once a week. And over here, we've developed properties on the Columbia River, and we're doing 200 plus garage condos that we're developing, and I'm still active in business. So
let me ask you this: so out of everything that you accomplished in business, on the business side of things, what would you say to this point? Because I know you, it's like, I'm not there yet, I'm not done yet, and that's what I enjoy about guys like you, right? Is so to this point in time in business. And you got a beautiful family. I know all about that on the personal side, and it is monumental. What's your greatest success in business?
The freedom I've been able to create. When I wake up, I try and have as much white space in my calendar as possible. I just like to wake up every day and really be able to play and do what I want when I want. One thing we started helping people get shredded, which has been fun. I think I was running these ultra marathons. I've attempted 400 milers. The farthest I've made is 72. I'll get 100 next year because I'll be lighter. I've done 5 Ironmans, full Ironmans, and quite a few halves. And the whole reason I did it was to just get my body looking fit. And what happened is I got skinny fat. And so then I hired the best fitness coach on the planet, and he got me pretty peeled to where I got, a 6-pack. And he's ripping me down to 6% body fat. And then from there, we're packing him back on muscle. And I partnered with him. And so we've got about 108 people right now that we're helping just get peeled. And that's fun. That's kind of, we were talking earlier about why you're doing the podcast. It's kind of a purpose thing to help people. I'm getting excited helping people get peeled because the decks are stacked against us when it comes to health and nutrition. Even when we're thinking we're eating clean, if we go out to eat and we have like chicken and a salad, all the oils and the shit that it's cooked in, you can feel the sodium running through your veins. And the processed food disempowers us. And I've found processed food is more damaging than alcohol. And the reason I say that is because we're eating it so many times during the day consistently, it just clouds our mind. It blocks our connection to source and it lowers our energy. So the short answer to the long answer is, right now, I think we're helping people get ripped, and that's fun because that was probably one of the toughest things I've had to figure out recently is how to get dominion over my body. And we have a plan and a path, and it's very simple. And we get people in there, and inside of 16 days, they're ripping an average of 14 pounds off of them in 16 days. And all they do is eat a specific, just follow a roadmap and eat a specific food that's on the list every single day. And the weight just rips off them. They get rid of inflammation. They get rid of metformin, which is diabetes medication. One guy got rid of his gout. Another person got off their blood pressure medication. People are making more money because they have more energy. Their disempowering thoughts and beliefs are going away because they're not inflamed and overweight. That's been really fun. We're going to help thousands of people with that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's
when you had I was going to say, when you had mentioned, right, that the freedom, the white space in the calendar, the being able to do what you want when you want, and having that be the biggest success, right? Kind of being that, maybe not the pinnacle yet, because I mean, you're still going to achieve some amazing stuff, like you said, with impacting more lives and doing it the way you're doing it now. But to peel back the covers just a little bit on that, and again, for our listeners a little bit, which, every walk of life, possibly every type of business, a little bit more real estate focused. Real estate was your path.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right? I mean, to get to the level where you're at now, in your businesses and all the different things you have going on, I mean, real estate was your vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, so from, I would assume, doing personal sales, doing real estate the way it's always been done, to forming team, to forming company, to all of a sudden now where you have it now. But over the last 20 some years, I mean, a lot of the especially the early days, or, even maybe that middle point, it was kind of real estate for the most part that got you to where you are.
Yeah, it's been foundational, and it's still there. Real estate sales, it pays the bill. It's not going to take me to that 10 million, 20 million, 100 million net worth. And what I mean by that is, I think the most we've ever really probably netted in our real estate company is $500,000. So if I knuckled down and did more production myself, I could get it to $1 million. That's a lot of work. And there's just quicker ways. I mean, we did a development project over here that made $600,000, and that was off of one transaction, right? My take was 600. I think it's actually probably more like 7. This garage condo project's going to net 20 million. I get 25% of that, right? So those are just bigger hits, the investing side. And if you look at people, at least what I've looked at in the real estate industry, the people that make the big money are the developers and the investors. And us as real estate agents, we're on the front line of that. We get to see all the deals, and we're always looking for the client to sell it to, but you can just shift that mindset and realize we are the client. And then we can really collapse time and make more money doing less. There's that grinder mentality that's been built in. It's been idolized and celebrated. You work hard like no other so you can live like no one else, and just don't think you can suffer your way to success. We're going to die, right? I mean, it's inevitable. Or transition to the upgrade to the next level. So why not live full out now and pull bigger levers to get that outcome that you're looking for? And then just play fully now. I just leveraged death to help me center me, because none of this shit matters. It's all an idea. All the money is an idea. The zeros in our bank account is an idea. This idea of acquisition of wealth, of net worth, of trying to accumulate all this shit and then hold on to it and not lose it, actually will steal our presence. So why not just live fully now and experience life to the fullest and make that impact with your family and your children and the people around you, and just have fun? Because 10 or 20 years from now, we'll be like, I wish I was 44, and we'll be 20 years from now, I'll be 64. And I'd give anything. I'd give all my net worth back to go back to that at this age. So sometimes, as entrepreneurs, we're chasing and chasing and chasing. And it can strip our presence away because we're just chasing the dollar, when really, is that the end goal?
You nailed it. That's a quote. You can't suffer your way to success. That was a nugget right there.
Wrote that one down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't have like fire emojis in here. I'll be like, I'll be firing up these fire emojis. That's awesome, man. That is great nuggets. Let me ask you this. So looking back from your historical landmarks, and we're still on a launching pad from where you're headed, looking back, what would you say your biggest failure in business has been? Right? We've all had that what the hell just happened situation, and then it kind of took a toll on us. What was that like for you?
We'll call it a lesson. I would say when 2020 hit, I have PTSD from 2008, when the market just, everything went to shit and fell apart. And I had to short sell my home. And I remember being helpless and not knowing how to make money, right? It's hard to sell homes because no one was buying anything. 2008 to 12 was really a grinding season. 2020 hit, and I had a house on the Puget Sound. I had a boat launch coming out of the garage directly into the Puget Sound. It was the house we flipped, and I hung on to it. I only owed like $600,000 on it. And I panic sold that thing for $750,000. And then the government, doing what they do, in their infinite wisdom, dropped rates to 2%. And then that house went up to about $1 million. I was like, I panic sold it. And maybe, the 40 or 50 homes I flipped, if I would have kept all those, I'd be, air quotes, done. I'm never done. There's no end to better yet. I have a lot more net worth, even though it's all an idea anyways. But I think those are things where I could improve, is just hold more real estate, because when you sell it, you get to pay taxes on it and give it to the government or the mafia, and they just go give it to other countries instead of our own people. Yeah. Those are some of the lessons. One lesson I loved my house in Skagit Valley in Western Washington. It's the best home. It had an incredible view. It was a home. And someone told me once that, a house is just an investment, or even the one you own is a liability. It's not a home, it's just a house. Somehow I let that idea stick in my head, and I sold our home, our forever home. I'll buy it back when the time comes. And we'll know in a year or two whether or not that was the right decision, depending on how the world goes, right? But I miss that place dearly. Hey, when I go over there, I fly by it, and it just makes me sick to my stomach because I raised my babies there. I'll get it back. So that would be a good lesson. Other than that, I would say those are probably the business lessons that I've learned.
Yeah, I think you summed that up perfectly, because as an entrepreneur, we don't really have losses. We win and we learn, because we never quit. No matter how miserable, how bad a day or week can be, we don't quit. We're just cut from a different cloth. It's like sometimes you just enjoy the taste of a boot to your face, and you just can't get enough of it until you're the giver of that, the recipient.
Yeah.
So we all have a that influence in our life and business. That's just on the days you don't have the answers, or you don't seem to be able to find the answers. We've always got that one place that we can go to, a person, a book, a podcast, an Audible. Just like, so what would you say your greatest influence in life and business is?
Good question. There's a couple answers. I mean, I believe you can drop into a meditative state and go have a conversation with your future self. That version of you exists, and you can talk to that person and bring back wisdom. It's more of an esoteric answer. But I've hired a lot of coaches, from Tony Robbins being in his platinum partnership to amazing fitness coaches and business coaches. I think the one coach that seems to always mentor, if you will, that's had the biggest impact on me is Jesse Elder. And that guy just lives in the complete present moment, and he's just plugged in. He's plugged into source. Like, he thinks of things and it happens. And when I coach with him, everything gets better. And I don't know if it's just because he's got this higher level of his delta wave swinging where he can influence matter with his thoughts. And so that's why I really like the quantum physics and the metaphysics, because this so-called reality that we measure by taste, touch, smell, sight, and feel, this three-dimensional reality, is controlled by our inner world and our inner dialogue. So our outer world is a reflection of our inner world. Have you ever seen the double slit experiment where they take a photon and they shoot it and then they split it and it creates a pattern on a wall? And what happens is it creates a wave pattern consistently until someone's observing it. And then when the observer is looking at it, it creates like a shotgun pattern. And then when the observer takes his eye off it, it's a wave. And so what they found is our reality is manipulated and controlled by our perception of. Meaning, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So you can actually have this delusional belief of your business or your relationships or whatever it is you want to change, and use your imagination like a child, or that Christ consciousness where people are like, you're crazy, and watch and believe in that alternate version, because there's infinite versions of this reality that exist, and you can actually create that with your mind. And I know it's kind of deep and crazy, but think about it. Everything we've created is a consequence of our thinkings, and we just do it unconsciously, so it's normal to us, but when we try and explain it, it sounds nuts. Your podcast here is a consequence of a thought. All of your results are a consequence of yesterday's and observations. And so knowing that that's true, we can just think of what it is we want to create and bend reality to our will and really flex that muscle of the imagination or Christ consciousness. Now, that's when it gets fun, because then once we realize that it's not through muscle, it's an effort, yet it's also a clear intention coupled with flexibility, then we don't need the roadmap or the step-by-step process on how to get there. It all starts here. And what's possible then? Anything.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's kind of like, when we talk about manifesting, manifestation, you hear people say, you're where you're at today because of the decisions you made yesterday, which is absolutely the truth. But it goes a little further back. You made the choice yesterday because of the thought you had the day before, right? And so all these dots connect, and that's how you end up here. And you're going, damn, I got a flat tire, man. I'm in a bad mood. I'm behind the school bus. I'm caught in traffic. Like, all of that is, absolutely. Absolutely.
But for the most part, it's all choice,
Mm.
right? You choose what you focus on. You choose how you process it and how you think about it, how you react to it. You had mentioned to take and try to summarize everything that Jeff just said. That was a master class right there. Right.
Oh, yeah.
But you had mentioned the word manifestation. It's the same what I wrote down too. Right. And
Yeah.
I wrote two words, right? Clarity and manifestation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of what Jeff had said, because it's like, right, it you can see where it is, right, that you want to be and be able to have that clarity, right, and just the mind is the most, all of us, right? Even those with a higher level of understanding, I don't think everyone truly understands what the mind is truly capable of. And and not only that, not only what it is capable of, I don't think anybody truly can fathom how much you can actually control it.
Yeah.
Right. And to be able to will it. And then in addition to that, will, right, the universe around you, right, to almost bend it, if you dare say it, right, to that thought. I think without a doubt, I know in my darkest times, right, whether in my mind or in business or life, it's because I lacked that clarity, which then didn't allow me to control my mind, which then just let you meander and let everything happen as it may, rather than controlling the thoughts, controlling the mind, and then controlling the outcome of it. It just, there's so much. I'm gonna have to rewatch this one myself like 10 times.
This is where it gets fun, boys. This is the good stuff.
And it goes back to Jeff talking about keeping as much white space open as possible, because that's where magic happens. That's where you tap into that. I don't keep enough white space today. I do the 12-hour walk by Colin O'Brady. And that's where I know I kind of connect to where, Jeff, you're focused on that white space, because if you read that book that he wrote, he's conquered Everest several times. He went nuts during 2020 because everything he had built and to roll out on reality shows, Discovery Channel, about his success, and handicaps as a child to overcome those successes, was washed down the drain in an instant with COVID, everybody canceling everything. To this guy has conquered Everest multiple times in his life, to sitting in front of a computer, worried, frantically, and constantly new fear popping up, and to the point where his wife comes in and says, "Look, you got to do something. Like, this isn't working, right? This guy's already crossed Antarctica, right, unassisted, right, more than once." And so she's like, you need to go take a walk or something. So, and that's what he did. He walked out the door, grabbed his hat, grabbed his hoodie, and said, "I'll be back." And she said, "Where are you going?" She said, "I'll be back. I've got the answer. I'll be back. I'll be back in 12 hours. And so that 12-hour walk is what he battled with his own thoughts when dropped off in Antarctica, because for the first time he realized, like, I didn't calculate pushing this sled unassisted, no dog, no help, 350 pounds of food, and it's 50 days worth, and it's got to get me from here to extraction, and I can't eat too much, can't eat too little, but I still got to move this big bad thing. So long story short, she was communicating with him via satellite phone, and she's like, "Look, you either got to get extracted, or you got to move," right? And the switch went off, and that was what, that 12 hours. So I'm going to go as far as I can, 12 hours a day. And so when he wrote that book, I said, I'm going to do this because I want to clear my mind. And I say that to say this, that now, Jeff, you probably do this on every day, every week, but a lot of the world, including my children, have never been disconnected from everything other than being asleep, and that doesn't count. And so this 12-hour walk you're required to, walk out the door, and go 12 hours, no electronics, no device. I mean, you can have Life 360 where somebody knows where you're at, but no audible, no music, no conversation, no texting. You're unconnected, disconnected, completely disconnected from the world for 12 hours. And I'm going to be honest with you, making that statement, the rest of the world goes, it's just 12 hours. It's just, 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's just 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. You're exactly right. But until you try it, until you do it, like I was having DTs in the first 5 hours. I mean, I started at 4 a.m. I'm like, this can't be that hard. And an hour and a half in, I'm like, how much more time I got? I'm like, I got email, text messages, DMs, social media, like my house burning down, my business burning down. Like, what's going on, right? And I had everything lined up. Like, I'm going to be off the grid for 12 hours. I'm not going to be, nobody's going to be able to find me. Like 2 people know where I'm at and can see where I'm at, my location, and how long I'm there. And, if I stay there too long, come find me, but don't bother me for 12 hours. And something magical happened after 5 hours. After 5 hours, the stress went away. The worry went away. And man, I can't tell, like, I had note paper I wrote, man, I got pages and pages and pages and pages of notes and creativity and things that I wanted to do that I had forgotten about, to just humbleness. I'm like, it just kept coming, like, and my biggest fear, that, listen, you know, this is me. My biggest fear was like, am I going to run out of food? 12 hours. Look, I had like 8, 9 protein bars in the bag. I think I had 1 protein bar because myself and John Mikish, we both left out at the same time, and we were going to, reloop, come back around, and at the end of the day, kind of share our thoughts. And he was like, yeah, I got my pack down to this weight. I'm like, nah, I'm still like in the double digit. I'm still like 13, 14 pounds.
Love
and
that,
I had
dude.
water in there, and I couldn't let go of the water. And I'm like, I ain't letting go of these protein bars. That's out. So there's only socks in there, a couple of, change of clothes in case the weather gets bad, and about 10 or 12 protein bars, and the rest is water. But anyway, I say that to say this, that last 7 hours, man, was magical. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. Now, I'm fairly conditioned. I'm not in the greatest shape in the world, not nearly in the greatest shape as I could be. But, my feet were in bad shape. I had blisters, but I wasn't even concerned with that. It was in bliss. It was in bliss. And it's just because of complete disconnection. And I take this back to Goggins, because we've all followed David Goggins, and, that dude is like a complete another level. But I've always believed in him because, he talks about at your toughest time, in your most trying, challenging moment, like, you ain't even, you tapping into 40%.
Yeah.
You think you tapped into 70, 80, 95, you ain't tapped into 40%. And it's like, it's all a mental game. It's all a mental game.
You nailed it. That's so good.
Deep stuff, man. Like I told Duane before, I said, I don't know where this is going to go. I offered him the question. He's like, nah, let's just roll with it. Mike, let's go hot mic, baby. I'm like, let's do it.
Well,
so
this is it. This is it. I mean, really, like what you're talking about, it is all a mental game. It's not a doing game. It's be, do, have, right? Or be, have, do. It's definitely not do, have, be. I love that. Dude. I love the fact that you did that 12-hour walk. I think I'm going to go on a 6-hour dirt bike ride today without headphones.
The connection.
It's the inner game. If you think about it, like our outer, and this is, I love the fact that we got on this topic, because I believe this is where the growth is. And they don't, in a lot of real estate and business, they teach you tactics, but it's all here. And Duane, like you're talking about the mind, our brain is the world's most powerful supercomputer. And so what I mean by that is it can do anything. It creates this idea of a reality that we're living in, which might be just a highly pixelated simulation. And most of us are running Microsoft DOS on the supercomputer. Remember Microsoft DOS? You can play like Oregon Trail or
Oregon Trail,
right? But if you can upgrade the program to, let's just say, Windows 14, in the most powerful supercomputer, you can play Flight Simulator, virtual reality. You can do all kinds of things. So imagine like if we went back into like the 1800s and we put up a projector and we projected on a wall an image. And the people are like, well, what kind of magic is this? And we say, okay, change that image. Well, they would all go to the projector screen and they would try and like move it. And so if our mind is the projector and our air quotes reality is the projection, then we go within and we change it here. We change what we want to create. We become very, very intentional with what we want to create in this reality, in this playground of life we get to live. And we upgrade and create the thing we want. And we're always creating, no matter the outcome, good or bad, right or wrong, whatever it is. And so like, for example, I like to call my shots on social media. You'll see that every now and then. I'm like, okay, I'm going to have an airplane. And then I just do that to timestamp it and then show people it's possible, not to brag, because I call it ahead of time. And then they're like, yeah, right. And then they watch and they're like, oh, that fucker did it. And I did that with a yacht as well. I wanted a yacht. And so I was like, I had pictures of the yacht on my screensaver of my computer, and I obsessed about it. And then, a year later, boom, I had it. Now, where I could have done better is I grabbed something that was attainable. This yacht was $200,000. Now, if I would have went through like a $10 million yacht or a $20 million yacht, then what would have happened is I would have found opportunities to be able to afford that bigger yacht to create that. And so what my coaches have been teaching me is to go experience a $20 million yacht. Go walk through a $10 or $20 million house. And when you get inside of that, your unconscious mind, it becomes its new normal. And then all of a sudden, bigger opportunities show up to create that. And it's a hack, and it sounds so simple that it's like, I can't be that easy. Yet it really is. And so when we can put different programming into the world's most powerful supercomputer through our senses, you got to feel the leather in the exotic car. You got to smell it, That's why I went and toured a $4 million airplane 2 weeks ago and sat in that thing and grab the yoke and touch the leather. My coach is like, go lick the damn airplane so you know what the metal tastes like if you have to. Like, bring it in, be that intentional. I didn't. I should have. But this is how it works, because the people that have acquired this air quotes level of success financially, right? They're no different or smarter than you and I. They're just in a different environment. And so that's their new normal, and that's what they're used to. And then all of a sudden the opportunities to create that show up. It's that easy. So it's state and it's belief. And so when you have a really peak emotional state, you can create anything. If you think about it, has influence. Whoever's in the highest state has the most influence. Have you ever seen the metronome things where they're like all clicking differently and then they start to get in sync? Well, if you go to like a grandfather clock or a clock shop and you swing all the clocks and throw them out of sync, they will all get back in line with the grandfather. Because it has the most influence and it has the most highest state, if you will. So when we can be in a beautiful, joyful state, we can manipulate our reality around us with the perception of what we want to create. Do you follow me? Mm-hmm. This is the fun stuff, because then it's like, oh shit, I want to create this. Boom. And you know it's coming. It's like putting your order out to the universe, and you don't need to I need a step-by-step, 10-step process to get there. I'm going to follow this plan. No. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. There is no plan. The plan is, it's the inner game, like you're saying, Shane. And then It becomes fun. This video game of life. I'll give you another theory. Like, imagine this life as a video game. What's a video game you guys play? You ever play like Grand Theft Auto? Mm-hmm. Run people over, pick up hookers. I'm just running people over in the cars.
A little bit of COD,
All right, let's do a better game. Super Mario Brothers. That game brings out the 13-year-old boy in me. Okay, Super Mario Brothers. Well, so imagine life. We are Mario, Super Mario, right? But we're also the player playing Super Mario. But also on top of that, we're the creator of the game. And when we understand that we are the creator of the game, because God created man in his image, therefore we are him, right? Because we're part of him and we're an extension of him and we can create like him. Then what's possible? What can we put in our game, this game of life that we came to learn? Because we came here, it's like we came from somewhere and then boom, we're here. And we knew coming in that we're going to forget everything we knew. And then we get to relearn who we really are. And we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And then what's possible? Anything. So when you look at this life as from the context of you are the creator, man, then it really gets fun.
This could be we could create another podcast, deep talks. I could wrap my hands around that all day. That's good stuff. Good deep conversation, deep thoughts. But that's the problem with the world today is everyone has shallow thoughts. No one wants to have a deep thought. No one wants to have, just to dissect that thought and go deeper and to understand more about how do you get to that thought process. Everybody looks at success as a fantasy. and they do. They separate it like classes, and it's like, I mean, everybody started out somewhere, right? Everybody's, there's no super success stories that are sustainable that didn't come from the School of Hard Knocks, right? I mean, the greatest athlete that's ever lived, and in basketball, especially Michael Jordan. Like, I mean, this guy was from his team. Now this guy makes $1 off every piece of athletic gear in the planet with the Jumping Man logo on it, right? So it all starts somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And the decks is just stacked against us because we were programmed. Our supercomputer was programmed by the Rockefellers for the school system to be a cog in the wheel of the machine. And so we get to unlearn everything that we've been taught that's disempowering and not helping us get to where we want to go. And as, fathers, our job is to make sure that programming is overwritten by a program that they know that they can create anything and they're not going to be a product of the system.
Yeah, like you said, not only you taught that way, groomed that way, most are raised that way, right? And then to walk up to the cliff, right? Anytime you do get to that next level, or like you said, when you can have that, when you can see it before it happens or make it happen based off your thoughts, right? How fast society or those around you, your circle, right, are there to close that box again, or to crush it, or to dismiss it, or right, or
to
almost
be realistic.
Allow it.
Yeah. They tell you got to be realistic. Well, that's because that's how they've been programmed. And when they see you stepping outside the framework of the system, they're like, no, that's not how it's done. Well, maybe it is. Make believe. You believe it, and then you make it.
Yep.
It's that childlike. Ask a kid what they want to be when they grow up that haven't been indoctrinated in the system, that are 5 and below. Yep. There is no limitations to their belief.
Now, where would they be without that imagination? I mean, it's you're exactly right, because and I've had this conversation with agents and students and stuff, and just people in general, and it's like, at what point in life did someone tell you need to grow up? You need to start thinking about getting a job.
Yeah.
A job,
Oof.
right? Man, this has been a great call. Jeff, I know we want to be respectful, mindful of your time, but we're not done. We're going to get you back on this podcast for sure. But I know you got to get out and enjoy some of that creative white space and get out on that dirt bike. And so let me ask you this though, what's one thing that you could say to your younger self, or anyone else out there that be on that path, that journey? Like, what would you look back 20 years, even 30 years to a younger version of yourself, or someone else in the same shoes, for a piece of wisdom or advice or suggestion or guidance to them? What can they do to get on that journey?
I would say don't blink. Life goes by so fast. Really, you nailed it, Shane. It's the inner game. There's a podcast called Upgrade, UPGRD, and I coach with them. And I listened to 73 of their podcasts, ripped through them to try and understand their formula, because it's dialed into the metaphysics and the quantum physics, which is really where the fun stuff is, because it teaches you to just create from thought. Now, action has to happen. It's not both until you ascend to like a yogi or Jesus, where, it's biblical. Faith the size of the grain of mustard seed. You can tell that mountain over there to move, and it'll move at a higher level. So it's belief in the metaphysics and the quantum physics, followed by inspired action. But I would jump into that podcast and really just start ripping into that and getting into the theater of the mind. Spend more time there on creating here.
Man, that's epic. That's epic. Great knowledge, great nuggets, great fire from start to finish. Jeff, if any of the listeners or those who watch this podcast video, how can they reach out to you? How can they connect with you? What's the best way to reach out to you?
Just find me on social media. It's Jeff Latham. My Instagram handle is Lathamator. That's the best way to get me. I'm all over it, and you can find me there.
The dude is completely
Fun.
transparent, has nothing to hide. He is the real deal. Don't tiptoe into his world if you don't want the truth and brutal honesty, because that, my friend, is one of your greatest strengths. That is one of your greatest strengths. Any other closing words there, Duane?
I think I ran out of ink. My pen on taking notes, and I can always tell when we have someone at another level. I have the unfortunate illness of sometimes trying to think of what is my next question, right, while that person is talking. And I tell you what, I didn't do that once today. Like, it was pure focus on what you were saying and trying to absorb it in the moment, and not even caring if I had a question afterwards or what, like, oh my gosh, like, it's gonna be my time to talk, so I better have something, right? And I didn't have that once. So I know, just for me, and I think I speak for everybody, you brought pure fire and value and another level of insight to stuff that a lot of people just don't want to talk about or don't know how to talk about it. And you opened up the door of the box just a little bit to show people the inside of it. But I truly from thank you. I can't thank you enough for your time. It felt like a master class, and I got a front row seat, and I'm very appreciative of that.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to put a bow on it. Please like this episode, download this episode. If you know someone who could benefit from this episode, please share it with them. Again, connect with Jeff on social media. He is always dropping value. What you saw today is as far as I've known Jeff, it's been like that. It's just like every single day. The guy's bringing it. He's real. He's transparent. Connect with him. I hope you guys have a best day ever, and we will see you guys soon on the next call.
Peace.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the R.E.A.L Podcast. Don't forget to connect with us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for more exclusive content. Keep striving for success, and we'll see you in the next episode.